India's resounding defeat in Adelaide by 10 wickets was a stark contrast to their stunning triumph in Perth. While the match lasted only 2.5 days, the performance disparity between the teams provided ample drama, questions, and lessons for both sides. This report dissects the sequence of events that led to India's poor showing, explores the strategic missteps, and offers insights into the broader implications of this result for both teams. India's comprehensive 295-run victory in Perth was built on strong batting foundations, strategic bowling, and effective field placements. Standout performances from the middle-order batters, relentless pressure from the bowling unit, and sharp fielding turned the tables on the Australians, instilling confidence in the Indian camp. Adelaide, with its pink ball and conditions conducive to swing and seam movement under lights, was expected to test both teams differently. Australia came prepared, having historically dominated pink ball tests, boasting an impressive record of 12-1 heading into this match. Mitchell Starc's first delivery, dismissing Yashasvi Jaiswal LBW, set the tone for the match. His control over length and swing ensured early breakthroughs, dismantling India's top order and shaking their confidence. While Travis Head entered the fray under pressure at 3 for 50, his aggressive 140 off 141 balls turned the momentum. Partnering effectively with Manas Labuschagne, Head targeted India's seamers, exploiting their lack of consistency in length. Despite a strong start from Mohammad Siraj and Jasprit Bumrah, India's bowlers lacked adaptability, particularly under lights. Short-pitch deliveries became predictable, and the Australians capitalised, posting a competitive 301. India's first innings of 175 was characterised by poor shot selection and a lack of partnerships. Shubman Gill and Rishabh Pant played aggressive cameos, but their dismissals exposed the middle order. Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's failures left India reeling. Pat Cummins, with his precision and use of short balls, claimed 5 wickets while Scott Boland's disciplined lines suffocated the batters. The duo dismantled India's lower order, highlighting a glaring lack of resilience. Starting the day at 128 for 5, India capitulated within an hour, managing only 175. Nitish Kumar Reddy's 42 was the sole highlight, but he lacked support. Cummins' use of the short ball, coupled with Starc's accuracy, ensured the collapse. Chasing 19, a mere formality. Australia's openers, Usman Khawaja and Nathan McSweeney, ensured a clinical chase, achieving the target without losing a wicket. The brief but commanding innings reflected Australia's dominance throughout the match. The Australians showcased tactical discipline, adapting to changing conditions and exploiting India's weaknesses. Cummins' captaincy was spot on, evident in his use of bowlers and field placements. India's inexperience with the pink ball, highlighted by inconsistent batting and bowling under lights, played a crucial role. The absence of a proper warm-up game compounded their woes. The decision to persist with Harshit Rana over Jadeja raised eyebrows. Rana's lack of control with the ball and ineffectiveness with the bat added little value. Bumrah's limited overs and Siraj's predictability under lights left gaps that Head exploited. Dropped catches and misfields added to the pressure on bowlers. The verbal altercations between Siraj and Head, as well as the fallout from the Perth victory, may have shifted India's focus from the basics. Australia, by contrast, left their Perth defeat behind, starting afresh. India must reconsider their batting approach. Shuffling the order or bringing in a more technically adept player like Hanuma Vihari might stabilise the innings. Jadeja's inclusion could lend control and variety, especially on a surface like Brisbane's. India also needs to evaluate Akashdeep and Prasidh Krishna as potential pace options. Returning to basics, focusing on adaptability under lights, and mitigating external distractions will be key for the Indian camp. Australia's win underlines their mastery in pink ball cricket. Their bowling arsenal, headlined by Stark, Cummins and Boland, remains unmatched in these conditions. India's record in pink ball tests continues to be a concern. Addressing their shortcomings in preparation, execution, and adaptability is imperative if they hope to compete in similar conditions. Cummins credited his bowlers and heads counter-attack for shifting momentum, highlighting their preparation and execution under lights. Rohit acknowledged Australia's superiority, citing missed opportunities and the need for introspection ahead of Brisbane. Head emphasized the clarity of his approach against the second new ball, attributing his success to Cummins's confidence in him. India's 10-wicket defeat in Adelaide was not merely a loss, but a wake-up call. The team's inability to adapt, coupled with Australia's clinical execution, widened the gap between the sides. With 3 tests remaining, India has the talent and time to bounce back. However, their response in Brisbane will determine whether they can recover or succumb to Australia's dominance in the series. Why did India's world-class bowling fail in Adelaide? Chapter 1. Failure to exploit the pink ball. The pink ball, known for its exaggerated swing and seam movement under lights, offered conditions that should have played into the hands of India's bowlers. However, they failed to capitalize. Indian bowlers alternated between being too short and too full, allowing Australian batsmen like Travis Head to settle and counter-attack. Bowlers, particularly Mohammad Siraj, leaned heavily on the short-pitched strategy, which became predictable and ineffective as the Australians adjusted. Bowling with the pink ball requires precision, especially in the twilight phase where movement is at its peak. India's inability to adjust their lines and lengths to leverage these conditions was a significant factor in their underperformance. Chapter 2. Lack of penetration in key moments. India's pace attack started promisingly, with early breakthroughs on day 1. However, they couldn't maintain pressure. Despite reducing Australia to 3 for 50, India let Head off the hook, allowing him to score a counter-attacking 140. Defensive field placements and erratic bowling gave Head the freedom to dominate. The bowlers failed to make an impact with the second new ball, a phase where Cummins and Stark later proved devastating. The inability to clean up the Australian tail has been a recurring issue for India. In this match, Pat Cummins and Mitchell Stark added valuable runs, further widening the gap between the teams. Chapter 3. Selection issues and resource mismanagement. India's bowling unit in Adelaide lacked balance. Jadeja's ability to provide control, both as a bowler and a batter, would have added much-needed variety and reduced the load on the pacers. The decision to field Harshit Rana, who lacked the experience and skill set to exploit Adelaide's conditions, backfired. He struggled to maintain consistency, leaking runs without creating pressure. Despite being India's most experienced bowler, Bumrah bowled only 1 over in the second innings. His reduced workload under lights, where he could have been most effective, raised eyebrows. While Siraj is a capable bowler, he was overburdened and lacked the support to complement his efforts. Chapter 4. Execution and mental approach. The hallmark of India's bowling success has been their discipline, which was noticeably absent in Adelaide. Indian bowlers bowled too many deliveries outside the off-stump, allowing batsmen to leave comfortably. Overpitched deliveries and half-trackers gave Australian batters easy scoring opportunities. India's dominance in Perth may have contributed to a lapse in intensity. The bowlers lacked the sharpness and aggression that characterized their earlier performances. Chapter 5. Tactical failures and leadership gaps. Rohit Sharma's captaincy compounded India's bowling woes. Defensive field placements. When Travis Head began counter-attacking, Sharma persisted with conventional field placements instead of plugging scoring areas. Delayed bowling changes. Timely changes in bowling could have disrupted the Australian batsman's rhythm, but Sharma often delayed adjustments. Bowling success often depends on coordinated efforts, but India's bowlers operated in silos. There seemed to be little synergy between pacers and spinners, and their plans appeared disjointed. Chapter 6. Australia's masterful counterattack. Australia's batters, particularly Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne, identified and exploited India's erratic lines and lengths. Head's aggression. By attacking India's bowlers early, Head forced them to alter their lengths, creating opportunities to score freely. Tailenders' contributions. Cummins and Stark's counterattacks demoralised the Indian bowlers, who seemed unprepared for resistance from the lower order. Australian bowlers later demonstrated how to bowl effectively under lights, exposing India's failure to replicate such precision. Chapter 7. Lessons and the way forward. India must invest in domestic pink ball tournaments and preparatory matches to familiarise their bowlers with the unique challenges of day-night cricket. Greater use of variations. Indian bowlers need to diversify their tactics, employing slower balls, yorkers, and bouncers more strategically. Field placement innovations. Defensive field placements should give way to aggressive wicket-taking setups, particularly when new batters arrive at the crease. India's team management must prioritise form and suitability for conditions over seniority or reputation. Balanced 11, including bowlers like Jadeja, who can control the run rate and contribute with the bat, is essential. Rotating pace options, Prasidh Krishna and Akash Deep, could be explored to provide fresh energy and perspective. India's bowling failure in Adelaide stemmed from a combination of strategic errors, execution lapses, and poor team management. While the conditions favoured bowlers, India's inability to adapt, coupled with defensive captaincy and questionable team selection, proved costly. Moving forward, India must reassess their approach to pink ball cricket, prioritise discipline and adaptability, and embrace a more ruthless mindset in selection and tactics. Only then can they regain their dominance and restore the faith of fans in their world-class bowling attack. Rohit Sharma, one of the most celebrated Indian cricketers, is under scrutiny following India's 10-wicket defeat in Adelaide. His leadership in this match has been called into question, with many arguing that his captaincy, more than any other factor, cost India the game. This report explores the theme of Sharma's lack of vision and proactiveness, his apparent inability to motivate the team, and the broader implications of his current mental and strategic state on India's performance. Sharma's inability to adapt to the dynamic conditions of a pink ball test was glaring. Despite knowing Australia's dominance in this format, his strategies were reactive rather than proactive. For instance, when Travis Head began his counter-attack, Sharma maintained conventional fields instead of implementing defensive measures to plug gaps. Sharma failed to utilise Ravindra Jadeja, a proven performer, and instead relied on Harshit Rana, whose inclusion seemed unjustified given his lack of control and effectiveness. Sharma appeared to lack a long-term vision for the match. Unlike Pat Cummins, who orchestrated a clinical performance by aligning his bowlers with the game's phases, Sharma's strategy seemed improvised and short-sighted. India's body language under Sharma was visibly lackluster. The players seemed disengaged, which is particularly troubling in a high-stakes game. This lack of enthusiasm may reflect Sharma's inability to galvanise his team. While India showed bursts of intensity, there was no sustained pressure from the team as a unit. The much-publicised Siraj Head verbal spat showed a team that was more reactive than strategic, with Sharma failing to calm the situation and refocus his players. Sharma's personal performance failed to inspire. As captain, his own failure with the bat, just 6 runs in the second innings, set a poor precedent. A leader who struggles to deliver in critical moments risks losing the respect and confidence of his team. Sharma's decision to persist with Harshit Rana over Jadeja, who could have brought control and variation, puzzled analysts and fans alike. His reluctance to shuffle the batting order despite consistent collapses demonstrated a lack of flexibility. Sharma's handling of his bowlers under lights was ineffective. While Cummins expertly rotated his quicks and set aggressive fields, Sharma appeared to follow a formulaic approach. Bumrah bowled only 1 over in the second innings, despite being India's most experienced bowler. Siraj's predictable short ball strategy lacked variety, yet Sharma failed to intervene or recalibrate the approach. Several observers noted that Sharma's demeanor suggested he was mentally disengaged. Whether it was the burden of captaincy or personal issues, his decisions and overall presence did not exude confidence or control. Sharma was slow to capitalize on moments when Australia was on the back foot, such as after early breakthroughs on day 1. His communication with players seemed minimal, and he often appeared passive in the face of mounting challenges. There is a growing sentiment that Sharma might benefit from a break to regain his focus and form. A team's performance often mirrors its captain's energy. Under Sharma, the Indian team lacked cohesion, with players appearing to operate in silos rather than as a cohesive unit. The absence of clear direction from Sharma seemed to affect the players' confidence. This was evident in their hesitant shot selection, sloppy fielding, and inconsistent bowling spells. Cummins outshone Sharma in every facet of leadership. Aggressive yet calculated field placements, precise utilization of bowlers under lights, and inspiring performances with both ball and captaincy. Sharma could take cues from Cummins' ability to balance personal performance with team management. Cummins' proactive strategies and motivational presence were in stark contrast to Sharma's passive approach. India must consider giving Sharma a break, not as a punishment, but as an opportunity for rejuvenation. This break could allow him to reflect on his leadership style, address any personal or mental health concerns, and return with a fresh perspective and renewed energy. While Sharma rests, India could experiment with other leadership options, KL Rahul or Ravichandran Ashwin, experienced players who could bring a fresh approach, or Hardik Pandya for limited overs, a proven leader in IPL with a tactical mind. India needs to prioritize players based on performance rather than seniority, emphasize adaptability in conditions like pink ball tests, and reinstate a culture of accountability and unity under a reinvigorated leadership. Rohit Sharma's lack of vision and ability to motivate his team and poor decision-making significantly contributed to India's defeat in Adelaide. His current state suggests a leader struggling to connect with his team and the game's demands. While Sharma remains one of India's finest cricketers, his captaincy in this match raised questions that merit serious reflection. Giving him a rest, coupled with a broader strategic reset, could set India on the path to revival as they prepare for Brisbane and beyond.
In Adelaide, I witnessed a moment that encapsulated the emotional roller coaster of cricket. Mohammad Siraj, known for his fiery spirit, lost his cool against Travis Head after the batter's explosive century. Instead of recalibrating, Siraj let frustration take the wheel, engaging in a verbal spat that only fueled Australia's momentum. This wasn't just a tactical blunder, it was a mental slip. Siraj's erratic lines and over-reliance on short balls allowed Head to dominate. He missed crucial opportunities and lacked a plan B when his initial strategy faltered. Aggression is vital for a fast bowler, but it must be tempered with discipline. Siraj needs to channel that fire into execution, focusing on consistent lines and lengths. By letting the ball do the talking and avoiding unnecessary confrontations, he can regain his composure. Cricket is as much a mental game as it is about skill, and if Siraj learns this lesson, he can reclaim his place as a key player in India's bowling attack.